Okay, here we go with the writing. So we left off in the last video with this much done. I'm not going to read it to you because we read it in the last video, but it's kind of like an outline, sort of, with a little bit of extra of what I'm going to do. I have my opening sentence, I have my closing sentence, and I have a middle that I need to fix up. So I worked on it, and this didn't just take me a minute. This took me right here. This probably took me about an hour to write all this, and I can type very, very fast. I can type almost as fast as I speak. So it wasn't the typing that took me time, it was the thinking. And that's the thing about writing. It does take time. So be prepared for that and be prepared to put the time in. So we started with our opening sentence. Long, long ago in the sub-Saharan region of Africa, giraffes had short necks. These were the days when giraffes' necks were even shorter than eagles' and koalas' necks. This was a problem because, so we see the problem, that's important. Um, this was a problem because giraffes eat leaves off trees, and the most delicious, nutritious leaves are at the top of the tree where there is lots of sunlight. Remember that I used the tail of the rabbit, the pourquoi tail, about the rabbit's tail, to inspire me. So I had one day, Gina Giraffe and her friends were roaming around to look for some leaves. They were always hungry because the only leaves they could reach were the tiny, bitter, wilted leaves at the top. On the bottom branches. Way up at the top of the tree, Gina spied a vast, lush patch of leaves. So, all of that for me came from on the far side of the river. Rabbit spied a vast, lush patch of clover. You can see I even used some of the same words. I used vast and lush because I thought that was a great description. And that's okay. You can take words and phrases and descriptions from other authors. And that's the way to do some great writing, to copy great writers, and eventually it'll become more and more your own. And it says, "Oh how he wanted that clover." This is about Rabbit. So, but he could not swim. So I said, "Oh, how she wanted those leaves." I'm talking about Gina Giraffe in my story. But Gina could not fly or climb. Just then, she spotted her friends Ernest Eagle and Kobe Koala. So I can get rid of this part now. That's my inspiration, but it doesn't fit in my story. And I use that to introduce Gina's friends, Ernest Eagle and Kobe Koala. So here's some dialogue. Every time you start a new sentence, a new speaker, you go to a new line. That's not really important. The important thing is to get your ideas down here. "Why don't you climb up into the tree and I can teach you to fly?" asked Eagle. "That's a fantastic idea," exclaimed Gina. "I'm coming up right now." So I did struggle a little with this part because I wanted to transition from Gina looking at the leaves to how are we going to make it logical that she actually tries to climb a tree? Because in my planning, I said she climbs up and then falls and gets her neck caught, or yeah, in the branches. So I need to transition this part right here, these two little lines. That took me a long time. I had to think about it for a long time. How am I going to get Gina up into that tree in a way that makes sense to the reader? And that's what I came up with. So it says, with a lot of effort and the help of her giraffe friends, Gina managed to climb up onto the lowest branch. So in my mind right now, I'm thinking about a giraffe with hooves trying to climb a tree. And I'm trying to think about what are the things that are going to cause problems for that giraffe to get up in that tree. And I want to somehow write that on the paper. It says this was not very helpful because the branch was only 6 inches off the ground, not high enough to practice flying. Next, Gina, Giraffe's friends, made a pyramid and boosted her up to a higher branch. But when she looked down, she was terrified and decided she didn't want to fly after all. All of this part right in here took me quite a while to write. That was the biggest thought process for me right there. And then my brain suddenly clicked in because I'm picturing Gina up in the tree, terrified, not wanting to fly. So this part, oh, I've only got 29 seconds. I'm going to talk fast here. This part here, I wrote in one big chunk. So I have to go back and fix this up. I'm not going to read it to you right now because I'm going to make one more video. So all of this is my thoughts just pouring out of my head. So I didn't worry about punctuation or grammar or paragraphing. I just got my thoughts on the paper. And we will talk about in the next video.